Good evening, everybody. Hello, and welcome to tonight's Cleesby Crack painting show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you alive this evening on an incredibly cold evening. It's frightfully cold, but we are nice and warm here. We've got a big thick jumper on, lots of cups of tea, good pudding, and it is a lovely evening. A big shout out to everybody at All Saints Catholic High School. All the pupils at school have been watching and subscribing to the YouTube channel, and also have been sort of talking about the painting. So a big shout out to everyone. I will put the video on YouTube, and a big welcome to everyone here tonight. Now, tonight, as the caption says, we are going to be painting a Van Gogh painting. Basically, we're going to try and do a copy of a Van Gogh painting, and I hope you enjoy it. And the idea is we're going to try and do a Van Gogh copy, but obviously Van Gogh painted mainly in oil paint and a drawing. So to try and render this in watercolours, it's going to be quite interesting. But we're going to give it a really good crack as the show represents. Now, basically, if you were watching the show last week, we're going to be painting buildings again. But the painting we're going to do is a Van Gogh copy. So I'm just going to show you first of all what we're going to do. So you might see here, this painting, some of you might recognise this. This painting is called Café sur la Terrasse by Vincent van Gogh, and the idea is on our little easel here we're going to try and do a copy of it. So I do hope that you are happy, warm and ready to join in, and we're going to give it our best shot. So if you watched the show last week, when we're doing things like architecture and all those kind of landscape things, the best thing to do is to get a really good structure, like a skeleton for your piece of work. So the first thing we're going to do is we're literally just going to draw in the buildings. So that is our first step, to draw in the buildings. Now, I like to use blue to draw in my buildings because it's just a nice, solid colour. And it just gives that bit of, it just makes everything stand out. So, first step, this is a painting of a cafe. Van Gogh painted a cafe at night time. So it's called, in the French is Café sur la Terrasse, but I'm basically in English, that means, you know, the coffee shop on a terrace sort of thing. And it's a beautiful painting of under a sunlit sky? No, an evening sky, starry sort of sky. Not the Starry Night, that's a different painting, a very famous one. This painting here is of a coffee shop in the evening, and people sort of like eating and drinking. Now, so what we're doing at the first step is just to sketch out what we are painting. And as maybe if anyone who's watching the show last week, the basic idea here is that we're just filling in and we're just drawing out all of the areas of the painting, which eventually we're going to paint into. So this is just a really good first step to get us going. Just break up the mould, get into that artistic flow. Somebody was asking me the other day, they were talking about painting, and they were saying, like, you know, like I feel like my drawing is getting a bit better, but I don't know how to improve my painting. And if anyone out there is actually sort of interested in maybe developing their painting skills, one very, very interesting way of doing that is actually to make sure that your drawing is good, and to improve your drawing as well, because painting is an extension of drawing. It's a kind of working with the same strengths, really. You're just sort of, no pun intended, drawing upon the same skills. Now, just to show you, this is what we're painting. You can see here, and that is our first step. So as you can see there, we've just literally sketched out the idea. So you can see here that we've got the, what do you call that? The canopy coming down, the buildings coming in, the building coming down. That's just the first step. And obviously the Van Gogh painting is there. So all we're doing is the first step, really just sketching out and mapping out what we are going to be painting. Now, the most distinctive feature in most Van Gogh paintings is yellow. Massive fan of yellow myself, and a really nice fan of yellow was Van Gogh indeed. Aaron Kennedy, good old Irish friend of mine, did comment saying that on most shows I do like to say a nice yellow, and that is very true. It is very good to have a nice yellow, but to make sure that yellow stands out, you have to work with contrast. So if you're going to use a very bright colour, you need to make sure that's complemented by quite a dark colour. So on this canopy here, we're going to put yellow, but then next to it, we're going to put quite a dark blue, so that these kind of contrast each other. So should we give it a crack? So we're just going to start off with the yellow. I'm just going to paint, you might be able to see that quite nicely there. We're just going to paint the yellow in. Really easy. It's not painted by numbers. I'm not that advanced. Nothing like that. It's more just mapping out and sketching out the ideas and just coming in. I do hope that everyone watching has had a nice day today. Is everybody freezing cold? Are you warm? Are you happy? I went to the Manchester United game on Saturday evening, and it was frightfully cold. I mean, terribly cold. And it got to the point where I literally thought that my toes would drop off with frostbite. It was that cold. So on this particular evening, I'm doing a Van Gogh painting because it warms my spirits, and I hope that it warms your spirits too. So, as you've seen here, we really are just painting in and just sketching in the colours. Not too much detail just yet, just getting a really good feel for the kind of the colour schemes that we are going to be eventually using. Now, as I've already mentioned, when you do make a light tone, you do have to complement that by a dark tone. So light tones and dark tones really are like two peas in a pod. So as you can see here, this is very yellow. So in this region here, that's where you can put some dark tones. So as you can see there, nice bit of black. Not black, just a dark brown or grey. Very, 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 very important that when you do paint, unless it's absolutely essential, don't use black. Because black kills colours off. It really just kind of it prevents the colours really from just sort of shining out, because if you do mix black with anything, you're obviously not going to allow any other colour to shine. So what we're doing here is we're getting sort of nice dark brown tones, just mixing these in. And as you can see here, this is a building just going down into the pathway, and this is the sort of the building off into the distance there, into the shadow. So just using the brush as if it's a pencil, really, just drawing in, just drawing with colour. That's the basic idea. That's the whole point. Is that there comes a point with art that you realise that there isn't really a major distinction between painting and drawing. You know, they are two very similar disciplines. Welcome, Kurush. Welcome to the show. Welcome everybody else who is watching. It's an absolute pleasure to have you all live. Tonight we are painting, or I am doing a Van Gogh copy of his painting Café sur la Terrasse. Now, you will understand, of course, when you do these Facebook Live things, it switches round. So, actually, I am not left-handed, I'm right-handed. It's all back to front. So, this isn't that kind of an alternative reality sort of thing going on. But you will see that when I put the painting onto Facebook afterwards, it's switched the other way around. But at least you can get a good feel for the techniques. Now, as I was mentioning before about the contrasts, obviously you have all these yellow tones and the light tones. What we're doing now is we really are just building up those dark tones. Just ever so slowly building up those dark tones. And it's all about patience, just building up layer by layer, stretch by stretch. Now, one of, in my opinion, Van Gogh's legacies, if you could say, is his very unique painting style. And his painting style is similar in some ways to Monet, of whom, you know, many people are, well, Monet is very popular with many people for his impressionist techniques. And impressionism, obviously, in other shows I've talked about the dabbing. You know, like the Paul Pogba dabs, when he's going do the dabs. Well, Van Gogh really took this to a whole new level, where he really made sure that those dabs were incredibly bright and thick and now, to render Van Gogh's style in watercolour is not very easy. So what we have to try and go for here is to try and emulate the colour schemes, but we obviously can't get the same thickness of the paint. But as long as, you know, in the painting there is a sort of a resemblance of the aesthetics of Van Gogh's paintings. Now, if you have just joined and you are wondering what's going on, welcome all. We are making an attempt tonight to paint one of Van Gogh's very famous paintings, which is Café sur la Terrasse, and Coffee on the Terrace, or Coffee Shop on the Terrace. The basic idea is we have, like if you had watched last week's show, we have sketched out the buildings in blue and we have drawn these out. And now what we're doing is we're just colouring in these buildings with different colours, and eventually what we are going to be left with, if you have just joined the show, is this. So that's the painting which we are copying, and this is what we've got so far. So obviously you can see, not quite there yet, but we will be there in about 15 minutes. So if you keep on watching, join in, get a brew, get a cup of tea, join in. Absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And I'm going to be sharing some art, historical stuff, some painting techniques along the way. And I hope that you're all happy, well fed, in good spirits, and that I hope you're someplace warm. I mean, it's freezing cold outside today, and on the football match, it was dreadfully cold, but Manchester United won, most importantly. Now, So far we've done yellows. Now this here is a bit of a vacuum at the moment. So what we need to do is make this very, 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 very dark blue. So that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to get lots of blue. And we are really just going to pile in the blue at the top. So you can see there, we're really just going for it. Not holding back, just going for the blue. And this is going to start bringing some depth, because when you do eventually bring that blue in, the yellow in the middle is going to start having some more focus. And depth is not all about detail, but it's just about clarity and clear zones of colour. So what are your clear zones of colour? For me, a painting is life, about life, you know? Full of energy, but clear boundaries. Ooh, now that was a philosophical one. Now, making sure that there is some coherence in the palette. So we're just painting, this is a doorway here. This is a doorway. We're just painting that doorway blue. Sometimes I do wonder, you know, what these famous, I mean, Van Gogh is a very famous example of an artist who, in his own lifetime, didn't manage to achieve fame, but then quite shortly after his, you know, premature death, did actually achieve huge stardom. Well, not stardom because he wasn't alive, but it makes me wonder sometimes, like, you know, you go to these art museums and it's like, his face is on cups and on mugs, and it makes me think, like, what do you think he would think of all that sort of thing? The idea of your face being on like a mug, and I don't know, it makes me wonder about art. And maybe there are people, you know, artists who are alive now who are completely unknown, but in the future we're going to have their faces on mugs. Is my face going to be on a mug? Do let me know. Do you think this is a bad idea or a good idea? Will my face ever end up on a mug? Right, so... So at the moment we really are just bringing out all the colour, getting all of the colours just mapped out into the painting. And slowly we're going to add all that detail. Now, the one thing that is quite tricky sometimes when it comes to watercolour painting is painting people. Because people are, you know, they're objects in a way, you know, they're tangible. And with water, it's sometimes quite hard to convey that sense of clarity. So sometimes what you got to do, you just got to paint like sort of silhouettes, which is what I'm going to try and do here. Just like little silhouettes. Sometimes a silhouette can be a blob as a head, and then just let the paint just drag down. These imaginary people that I'm painting here don't, you know, they don't mind being blobs. So they're just blobs. Now, we are slowly just getting all our blobs in. Now, the brickwork is very important. So, if you imagine this street, it's... Hello there, how are you guys doing? Hi there, back now, how are you? Now, if you imagine a street, a cobbled street, this is what we're going to try and go for here. So, the best way to paint a cobbled street is just dab. Just go dab, 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 like this, at the bottom. And just really, really, really make it very simple, not too complicated, and just dab. So you can see there, just dab. And don't be scared also to bring lots of different colours in. You know, it's cool. You know, this is art. This is a painting. This isn't a photograph. If you want to put some red in there, go for it. If you want to put some blue in there, go for it. No one will judge you. Now, I did mention before, not to paint black in painting, because it kills, unless it's absolutely necessary. If you want to go for a very dark tone, you can go for a really dark blue mixed with some brown. And also, it's not usually a good idea to paint white either. These two extremes. It's good just to paint the tones in the middle and convey that sort of pictorial contrasts, as I like to call it. Mind you, I did just make up that term. Now, we're almost, so we're going to get some... The one colour that's missing at the moment, in my opinion, is red. So now we're just going to paint a bit of red there, next to there. And we're going to paint a little bit of red here. That's just supposed to be like a bit of a doorway. And then we're going to paint a little bit of red there. Under the doorway. And then we're going to paint a tad of red there, the silhouette of a person. Sometimes it's just like mixing it in with the browns. Just give that a little bit of something. Paint the roofs red. Paint those little windows red. Aha, the light coming down from there. Like this, bit of red there. Now, this is the bit that's going to be tricky. So far, it's not looking too bad, but we need to bring more depth into the painting. Hello, Grandma. Lovely to have you on the show. Watching live from Greetland. Great place. Do check it out. Everybody's watching. Now, we do need to... This bit's white at the moment. That's not what we want. We want to make it much darker. So what we're going to do now is we are going to bring some... I hear you coming over for dinner tomorrow, Grandma. Make sure you bring some Anzac biscuits. For no ruse. You know what I'm saying? Now... That's what we're doing here. Just bring in a bit more glue, and then we're going to put a tree here as well. So not leaving any white spaces on the painting. Make sure you use the whole of the page. The best way. Now that's a quintessential Van Gogh technique. Scratching into the surface of the page. Remember, these things aren't photographs. You can leave visual traces of the brush. Very important that you do that. There we go. Just going to keep it going. So just as that dries, I'm just going to talk you through exactly. Just going to talk you through what we've done so far. So basically, we started off this painting just sketching out and mapping out in blue. This is a famous painting done by Van Gogh, which we are copying. We've copied the buildings down and we've sketched that in blue, and then basically we're just building up the colours and thinking about our contrasts, thinking about our zones of colour, and just kind of making those complement each other. And in doing so, we're trying to create a rich, vibrant, dynamic contrast of colours. That's the basic idea of painting. It's just all about visual, pleasure to the eye. That's what it's all about. And that comes with energy, that comes with contrast, vibrancy. Celebrate life in these paintings. That's what it's all about. Life is beautiful and meant to be enjoyed. So let's enjoy it. Now, obviously you can see there we've got a tree coming in. What we need to try and do now, which is going to be quite hard in watercolour, but I'm definitely up for the challenge, is to try and create this complexity in the sky. So it's not all one colour of blue, but to try and create that little bit of depth, which can literally be a little bit of a wild expression of blue. You see how that gives it a bit more emotion in that sky. Sometimes that can be that when you want to create emotion in your painting, you make your dark tones darker and you make your light tones lighter. So you don't go for a bland colour, you go for a really enigmatic colour. Whichever colour that might in fact be. Now, just to try and get a bit more yellow in there. And the floor here. Now this is the actual the coffee shop area. I don't know if they call them coffee shops. They're more like sort of salons, I suppose, back in the day. And I think this is indeed in Paris. As I did say at the beginning of the show, shout outs to everybody at All Saints Catholic High School. The kids, in fact, this week have been sharing my video on YouTube. 368 views for all the pupils at the school. Absolutely magic. I will share this on YouTube later on. So for all you awesome pupils, I look forward to hearing about what you think about the show. We just need to put a bit more red in there. I would say we're about 3/4 of the way done. Just need to make it look like a solid painting. And one way we can do that is just tighten up all the details. Add a bit more chairs in. Right, people, silhouettes. Let's get those done. I do apologise for the sneezing. I think this cold weather has contributed to me getting a slight cold. But the painting is making me feel warm inside, and I do hope that it's making you feel warm inside too. It is a beautiful thing, painting. Now, basically, I would say at this point forward, we are almost done. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. I do feel indeed very blessed. We are pretty much finished. We're just going to do some final touches, and I'm just going to talk you through some of the key parts of the painting so that you have a full, awesome understanding of how this painting is made, how you do it, what the crack is. Let me zoom in for you so you can just see. So, basically that's what we have done in watercolours. Not a bad attempt at all. This is the painting which we've copied, so you can see what I'm going for there. So what we've done is we started out making all of the buildings in blue and drew those out, and then just basically just coloured it in, and that's what we've got. Now we do have to appreciate that in watercolours you're never going to get the exact same technique, so we have gone for a different technique here because it's a different medium. But ultimately, you know, that's that. So, what can I say? This is a painting, a copy of Van Gogh. First of all, when you are making any architectural building style paintings, start off drawing it out in a good bold colour, get your sketches done, and then just colour them in. Focus on your contrasts. I do hope you've had a wonderful evening, and I look forward to seeing you next week on the Cleesby Crack Painting Show. Do look out on YouTube. I shall be putting out some videos on there too. Just type in Sam Cleesby Art, and have a wonderful Monday evening. Bye bye everyone. Take care.